So today we're here with Alex Andujar, the rector of St. Vincent's Episcopal Church in St. Petersburg, Florida, and author of a new pamphlet from Forward Movement called Retelling the Story, The Birth of Jesus, and illustrator Everett Patterson from Portland, Oregon, who has created an amazing illustration and cover of Jose and Maria. And we are here talking with them today about their work and what they hope will inspire and challenge and ultimately help people move deeper into their relationship with Christ.
Essentially, it's a reimagining of the story of Jesus's birth, but in a modern context. You know, kind of the what if it was happening today? What would it look like? What would it sound like? Which is why your illustration is so on point, because it places Joseph and Mary as Jose and Maria, in our modern time.
I thought it was 2014 when I drew the illustration, and I was nervous at what seemed like then as a rising tide of sort of xenophobia in the U.S. and in Europe, and of course, actually, 4 years later, it hasn't gotten any better. But at the time, I was like, oh man. Just remember, Jesus's parents were, shortly after he was born, refugees. In Bethlehem, they were not in their hometown. So, I was thinking kind of about what was already being called refugee crisis and general immigration situation. So that was probably why I chose to make them Latino.
I am Latino, and I began to wonder, if I were to tell this story to my children, or to try to relate this story to the Hispanic communities where I live and work, what would it sound like to them? If I told them a story about people who were the least of these, people who were in poverty, who were searching for a way to fulfill God's will, in the context of just trying to get somewhere. And trying, like I said, to fulfill God's will. So I live in the U.S. I am Latino, so I kind of thought first and foremost from that context.
How would we get that back if we were to say, just for the moment, throw historical accuracy out of the window. Don't try to draw the robes and the sandals, because we've seen that stuff in Hollywood a lot. What would it look like if we considered the story as alive today to us? And so we used modern stuff.
What I love about this conversation, Alex and Everett, is that it seems like that motivation is what drew both of you independently, and then we kind of found each other both in the illustration and in the words and in the story.